The last time his phone rang, he was staring at a microwave meal, thinking about how tired he was. He saw her name on the screen. Mom. And he let his thumb hover over the answer button for a second too long. He told himself he'd call her back in the morning. He was too drained to talk. He needed to eat, to decompress, to just exist for a minute without having to explain how his day went. So he silenced the ring, placed the phone face down on the counter, and went back to his routine. He didn't know it then, but that decision was about to become the heaviest weight he would ever carry. His name was Marcus, and at 28 years old, he was exactly where society told him he should be. He had a decent apartment, a steady job that demanded 50 hours a week, and a car that started every morning without complaint. Life was a checklist, and he was checking boxes. Wake up, commute, come home, recover, sleep, repeat. It was a numbing rhythm, but it was a productive one. He was building a future, or at least that's what he told himself, when the guilt of not calling his mother started to creep in. His mom was the one constant in the chaos. She lived 4 hours away in the small town he'd escaped. She was the type of woman who sent care packages with handwritten notes, who remembered the name of every friend he'd ever had, and who called every Sunday at 7 p.m. without fail. For the past few months, those calls had started to feel like an obligation. He'd be in the middle of something, or he'd just be too emotionally spent to recount his week. He'd answer, but he'd rush her. He'd say things like, "Okay, Mom, I gotta go," or "Can we do this tomorrow?" And she, being the saint she was, would just say, "Of course, baby, I love you. Get some rest." He never noticed the slight change in her voice. He never asked why she'd been going to the doctor more often. He never questioned the long pauses where she just seemed to be listening to him breathe. He was too busy living his life to realize that her life was quietly winding down. The week of the missed call was a brutal one. His boss had piled on extra projects. His girlfriend was upset he'd forgotten their anniversary. He was running on 4 hours of sleep and too much caffeine. When his phone buzzed on that Tuesday night, it felt like just another demand on his energy. He let it ring. He ate his bland, microwave pasta, scrolled through social media for a while, and fell asleep on the couch with the lights on. He woke up the next morning to a voicemail notification. He played it while brushing his teeth, the sound of the running water making it hard to hear. "Hey, sweetheart." Her voice came through, softer than usual. "I know you're probably working hard. I just wanted to hear your voice. I was thinking about when you were little. Remember how you used to make me those mud pies in the backyard? I'd do anything to have one of those mud pies right now. Anyway, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I love you. Call me when you have a minute. Bye, baby." He smiled, pocketed the phone, and walked out the door. He'd call her tonight, he thought. Tonight for sure. But tonight became tomorrow. Tomorrow became the weekend. The guilt was there, a small nagging stone in his shoe, but he was an expert at ignoring discomfort. He told himself that life was just like this, that this was what being an adult meant. You miss calls. You catch up later. There's always later. Later came on a Sunday afternoon. He was at a coffee shop, finally feeling relaxed, when his phone rang. It wasn't his mom. It was an unknown number with an area code from back home. He answered it with a casual, "Hello." It was a nurse from the small town hospital. His mother had suffered a massive stroke the night before. She was in the ICU. The nurse spoke in that calm, professional tone they use to deliver earthquakes. They had tried to reach him sooner. His number was on her emergency contact form. They'd been calling for 2 days. 2 days. The words hit him like a physical blow. He stood up, knocking his coffee to the floor, not even noticing. The room went quiet. He thought about his phone. He'd seen those unknown numbers. He'd ignored them. He was screening calls, dodging spam, protecting his peace. He had ignored his mother's hospital. He drove 4 hours in a blur of white lines and panic. He replayed that voicemail over and over, the Bluetooth speaker in his car, filling the silence with her tired, loving voice. "I'd do anything to have one of those mud pies right now," he realized, with a sickness in his stomach, that she wasn't just reminiscing. She was saying goodbye. She was telling him she was tired. She was telling him she loved him. One last time, just in case. When he got to the hospital, the room was quiet except for the rhythmic beeping of machines. She was there, but she wasn't. Her face was slack. The machines were breathing for her. He fell into the chair beside her bed and took her hand. It was warm, but it didn't squeeze back. He talked to her for hours. He apologized. He begged. He told her about his week, the stuff he was too busy to tell her before. He told her about the mud pies. He told her he loved her more than anything. He stayed there all night, holding on, hoping for a miracle. The doctor came in the next morning. The news was delivered gently, but there was no gentle way to say it. There was no brain activity. The machines were the only thing keeping her body going. They asked him about her living will. They asked him if he understood. He understood. He had to make the choice. He had to tell them to let her go. That moment is one he will never be able to fully describe. It's a black hole in his memory, signing papers, nodding, watching them turn off the switches. The silence that followed was louder than any sound he'd ever heard. The silence of a machine stopping is the sound of a heart breaking. In the days that followed, he learned the harsh reality that the world doesn't stop for your grief. The funeral was arranged, the condolences were received, the casserole dishes piled up on the counter. Everyone said the right things. She's in a better place. At least she's not suffering. He's strong, he'll get through it. But Marcus felt hollow. He felt like a fraud. He wasn't strong. He was the guy who was too busy for his mother's last call. He was the guy who prioritized a microwave meal over the woman who gave him life. The turning point didn't come with a sudden flash of light. It came weeks later, in the middle of the night. He was lying awake, staring at the ceiling, drowning in the loop of regret. If only I had answered. If only I had called back. If only. The weight of it was crushing him. And then a thought cut through the noise. It wasn't a mystical vision. It was just a thought, clear as day. It was her voice, but it was his mind. I didn't call to make you sad. I called because I loved you. Don't let my love become your prison. He realized in that moment that the guilt was a form of selfishness. He was so focused on his failure in those final moments that he was erasing the 28 years of love that came before it. He was reducing her entire existence, and his relationship with her to one missed call. She wouldn't want that. The woman who made mud pies, who sent care packages, who loved him unconditionally, she would never want him to destroy himself over a mistake. That's when the shift happened. It wasn't about forgetting the regret. It was about transforming it. The pain didn't go away, but it changed shape. It became a fuel. He realized that the only way to honor her was to live the life she always wanted for him. Not a life of business and obligation, but a life of presence. A life where you answer the call, not just from your phone, but from the people who matter. He started small. He put his phone away at dinner. He started calling his friends back. He visited his hometown more, not for funerals, but for Saturday barbecues. He listened to people. He stopped rushing. He realized that being an adult isn't about checking boxes. It's about being present for the people who fill the boxes with meaning. He missed his mother's last call. And yes, it almost destroyed him. But in the end, the destruction cleared away the noise. It left behind something raw and real. It left behind a man who finally understood that life is not a dress rehearsal. You don't get a refund for the moments you miss. You don't get to call back after the line goes dead. The hardest truths are the ones that save us. And the hardest truth of all is this: the people you love won't wait forever for you to have a free minute. So you have to stop living like they will. You have to pick up the phone. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Because the call you ignore today might be the one you'd give your life to answer tomorrow.